call this meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Walden.
Here.
Smith. Here. Burgess. Here.
And can I get a motion to approve the water waste meeting from November 15th, 2022?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay. Under old business, service bed not been sold yet. Have you heard anything on that,
I
Josh?
talked to Charlie today. He said he hasn't had anybody asking about it, and I said, listen, this is, we can't keep having this same conversation.
Right.
I said, I'll let them know what you said, but, I expect to hear from somebody at some point other than me. I think we, ask the attorney's advice, see where they were, what they think we have. I think it's above, any more conversation.
With them.
We've waited long enough.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
And we may not, we may not have any teeth to sink into it, but I think that's, for our attorneys to decide.
Get the money back. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. All right. Under new business, I'm gonna jump down and talk about the retention pond. I asked Alan Wimpin to come and join us this evening, just so we can all get together and discuss the retention pond at GSI. I guess Alan, if you wanna go ahead and discuss, where we're at.
We brought it before, so I think most everybody here knows what the issue was. I was asked a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago by the plant manager if any progress had been made on it, and I said pretty much it's the same thing. We circle around, we talk about it, and then it gets to where, well, we'll have the fire department burn it, and then it'll get dug out. And he said, pretty much, isn't that what you said that it's always come down to? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I'm tired of waiting. He said, if they're not gonna help us, we're just gonna go ahead and do it ourselves. So he said he was very disappointed in the city of this is how it seems to go all the time. So he said to just go ahead and do it. And so we have a track hoe rented for the 23rd of this month to come in and clean it. It's not to dig it out, it's just to clean it out. And then if anything possible, after we get it cleaned out, if possible, maybe a little bit more to the south, but I don't know if that's possible or not until we get it cleaned out and shoot it. But basically that's where we're at. The track hoe rental for a week is $4,800, and they're going to cost, it's going to cost us basically $1,000 to deliver it here and $1,000 to take it back. So it's going to be a challenge to get it done in a week, but I think my guy can get it done. He's probably one of the best operators around with that equipment. So what I'm looking at is having him, it's going to slow us down trying to dig it and get it hauled out of there. We would like the city to help participate in getting that out of here. So what I'd like to do is have him clean it and just pick it up, turn around and make piles outside of there, and it can be cleaned up whenever.
Yeah, Jack and I had talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fine with that.
Can that be hauled up to the slide?
Yes, that's what our plan
I
is.
So
think-
wouldn't it be
I
better
think the
to,
amount of spoil you're talking about pulling out of there's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's probably more than the city can just handle on themselves.
Oh, really?
With the backhoe, we only have one dump truck.
Well, yeah, but we talked about contracting it out on getting it
Yeah, I
out
mean,
of
we
there.
can hire
Yeah,
somebody
because
else.
we don't. We don't have a dump truck that'd be available.
Would it be possible to spread all that out? What's excavated out of there instead of hauling it all up to the dump site?
Well, it's more than dirt. I mean, it's going to be a lot of
Cattails and.
cattails. It's going to be a mess of stuff. I mean, we can do whatever with it. I don't.
my thing is, if you're gonna clean that out, why would you pile it up? That's gonna look horrible.
Well, on our side of it, $4,800 is quite a bit for a week's rental,
Of
and
course.
we got to get it done. So the first thing is, no matter what you do, unless you've got several trucks lined up, because you can't do it in one truck. Obviously, you'd have to have, 2 to 4 trucks, hauling it as he's digging it. Because I told him I don't want to waste any time waiting on trucks or anything. We got to get it cleaned out and get done with that part to get the equipment out of here, as quick as we can. So, it's if he does that, we're talking putting it in piles. So it'd be probably, I don't know, maybe 3 piles, 3 to 4 maybe, along each side. I mean, some of it's gonna be on our side, some of it's gonna be, it would be on the city side between the pond and the highway. So, the only way to get it out of there that quick would have plenty of equipment to do it. Otherwise, it'll take some time hauling up. I don't know how many loads it is. I don't wanna dig any more than we have to. I mean, we're gonna have to go with whatever, site-wise, you know. If you dig it down any deeper, you're gonna, other than cleaning the silt that's settled down in there, other than that, you know, you don't wanna dig it any deeper or you will create a pond, so you don't want that. So, time-wise of hauling it out of there, it's really kinda up to you guys.
You know, I talked to a couple contractors, or, you know, that we were interested in seeing if they were interested in digging those ponds out. And both of them said to me, you know, we need to just let it dry out, or what you're gonna pull out of there is mucky, you know, it's just gonna be soup, basically.
It's gonna be wet.
It's gonna be nasty.
Yeah.
It's always
you know, so
wet, yeah.
it's not just getting it out of there, it's also hauling it away and getting rid of that spoil, you know. Whatever council wants to do, I brought a proposal to council months ago about, you know,
Yeah, I
contractor
know.
that I talked to.
And we ended up changing on it. No, I'm happy with getting contractors, getting trucks and companies to get out there and clean it up. On there. Are you okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
should do what we can to help GSI out. They have been more than good to us.
What? I'm happy we can take the proposal to council to do the contracting for trucking. I mean, we'll try to get trucks in, you know, make it, you know, as needed. So we'll try to get it out of there, you know, as soon as we can. On
That part really, that's totally up to you guys. If
Okay.
you're fine with the cleaning it out, you know. On our side of it, it would be nice if the city did anything, you know, helped us out with the rental part. We are digging out the city's pond, but this affects GSI more than anybody on the flooding issue. That's why he wants it done, because of flooding issues. So he doesn't want to wait any longer. He said, we gotta get this done, or we're gonna be dealing with possible, depending on the weather, obviously. But anytime that we don't do anything, we're opening ourselves up to, you know, another flood inside. So
Yeah. It might be something to help you. Let me think on it, ask legal, and we'll talk about it finance. There might be something. I'll run it to Donnie when I find out, but there might be something we'll prove it at council. I might have an idea for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got anything, Alan? Is that it? Jack, you got anything to add to that? We good?
nobody has any objection to us starting on the 23rd.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Alan.
Yep.
Then we'll go ahead and start, the top subject there, the sewer, sanitary sewer project 1. Do you have anything to add to that, Mark?
So, I mean, I have updated the, ledger, and I just sent that to Angel. I've got the account balanced within a little less than $2,000, so it's getting close. I'll have it, you know, zeroed out hopefully by Friday. I guess I would like to make sure everybody announce, you know, I think everybody's aware, but I am leaving Chastain. You know, it's been great working for Assumption over the years, getting different projects going. I want to make sure everybody's aware. It is for personal reasons, and you know, I look forward to keeping in touch. But just want to make sure everybody's aware. So that's why I say by Friday, you know, trying to get that cleaned up. And then the other accounts, you know, like Angel and I talked. You know, I think it makes sense to get this one fixed, and then the other ones need to be because there's money that's in the sewer account, that Trinidad water account, you know, during that kind of transition when there was the previous treasurer and then the interim treasurer, and then you know, Angel, you know, is now in the spot. So, but I've got that iron detailed out in an Excel sheet. The you know, the accountant, you know, also we had a little teams meeting where he agreed to, you know, this, as long as it's all listed out, and you guys will be able to see that, you know, that this is how the account is zeroed out. You know, that this money, there's money left in there. This money needs to go, either, into the regular sewer account, or some of it needs to go into water, EPA water account anyways, cause we have multiple projects going on, and some of the checks went in and out of the wrong account, so, but I have that Excel kind of detailed, just not 100% finished, so,
Okay,
but it's close.
alright. Anything else, the next one about the utility that will need to be relocated for the lift station?
So as of right now, the Ameren has agreed that everything's can move forward as planned. We are shallowing up the pump station slightly, but the gas utility, they're fine with it. So as planned, or where they had indicated the gas line was initially, the gas line's moved a little bit closer to where a proposed pump station is. So their sheet piles, whenever they're putting in the new pump station, are going to be within 5 feet of the gas main, which is a high pressure gas main, so everybody's, it feeds Blue Mound, feeds, a lot of different places, so there's, that's why I wanna make sure they're good with that, and, I think everything's gotten, their email says they're fine with it, as long as, the contractor Petersburg's not stockpiling, huge mounds of dirt on top of it, and that makes sense, then Petersburg's aware of that, they can track across the gas main. This thing's 5 feet in the ground, so it's not like it's, but I just wanna make sure, everybody's aware of that, so.
Okay,
So I think you can delete that, honestly, and,
Okay.
however you wanna handle it, but
Alright, yeah, we
it's
can-
good.
I think, one thing kind of related to that is, the road closure over there, it's gonna be a substantial one, and where they're gonna be closing down on College Street, they're gonna have to do some real rerouting of traffic over there, and, I talked to their foreman, and he was talking about, he thinks the road's gonna be closed down for, a week or two. So, I don't know, if
Yep.
Petersburg's come out and taken a look yet, but, I know they're responsible for
Yes, traffic
traffic
yeah.
control, notifying
The county,
and it's gonna be a big detour. I think they're gonna have to go pretty much, all the way back to the curb on the blacktop, go around south of town and come in on like Samuel Street.
Yeah, cause they're gonna be digging a pump station.
I just don't think
Yeah.
that, I don't know, John, if you would know if they're allowed to, or if they're supposed to be driving semis over that bridge by the cemetery,
No, not
right?
loaded.
Yeah.
So,
Not loaded.
so I don't think we'd be able to, reroute them that way.
That's for, definitely need to make sure Petersburg's.
It's gonna be a long one,
Yeah.
so.
I've got a question about the sewer line that you pump, the pressure line you pump out to the lift station. Is it a designated easement of certain width there, or is it just, we're supposed to put a tile system in that field, so.
I don't know off the top of my head. I would assume yes, there's a platted easement, but I don't know that off the top of my head. Yeah.
As long as we know how far away to stay.
For the existing force main?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
Oh,
two
okay.
force mains that run through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two of them there?
Yeah, there's two of them. Yeah, an 8
Okay.
and a 10-inch. With the
They close together?
And they're pretty close together, and they converge back again before they hit the.
but that's right at the,
That's
the
right at the
ponds,
ponds,
and
yeah.
so they're kind of far apart at the pump station. But then they come together, and then they head up to the sewer plant, and then they combine and go right into the headworks.
They run about 8 feet deep coming out of the building, but I know
Yeah, they shallow up.
we found that one spot you were gonna put a drain in or whatever. It was about 4.5 feet deep. So
Well, they want to tile that whole field, so I just need to know how close we can get to them, and
what the
if there's an
regulations are.
easement, if you have a designated easement, we don't wanna get in it. That's what I'm getting at.
There should be.
Well,
one,
I mean,
right?
you would have rights to. I mean, it's just first
could go ahead
come.
and
You
get
know,
it, yeah.
their first the city's first come for the location, but it doesn't mean that you can't. Now, it'd be. I don't want to have them work. If they ever have to maintain it, Jack doesn't want to have to work around your tile, I guess. But
That's what I mean.
yeah.
You got an area that we
I
need to
don't-
stay away.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head what the easement says. I would have my opinion. 20 feet from the force main, either side of it would be reasonable, but that's just my opinion. So I don't know what the easement language says. Somebody has to pull those records, unless you have those records.
I can look them up.
Yeah. We've not. I would say we haven't really had to do any work on the force main from. I mean, we did a little bit on the backside of the pump station, but nothing heading to the north.
We're gonna do that like this month probably.
Nah, hopefully before planning time, but it won't be this month.
Okay.
Okay. La Rochelle project is waiting on DCEO to review to release a payment.
So the payment for, the contractor has been released, cause that, you've released that payment, right, so it's like $100,000. And so the last thing that, all the closeout paperwork that, and Stephanie from my office has been, taking care of that. She has, the last thing is our invoices getting reimbursed for those, so she's working on getting all those details that DCEO needs.
Okay. The jetting. I mean, do we have anything to add to that, or
Oh, yeah, I mean, no, not really.
okay?
That was months ago, but most of the jetting we had done there,
Right.
they were pretty much all collapsed.
Samuel Street water main is being installed, and this is being paid for by the local funds.
That's all done, we've run the lead service stuff. Is there a pay request for?
I don't have a pay request
Okay.
for them, we haven't got one, but I expect there would be one here soon.
There will be next month, yeah, they're pretty much done.
Hopefully they get it here, before, we'd like to get that closed out, cause that's the last thing, but I don't know if it'll be, either next month or, if we'll be, still try to get it for this next council meeting.
And then there was a hang up on the materials invoice that I got from, Illinois Meter. They had added a bunch of stuff from someone else's project, and so they're giving us a revised invoice, so we haven't paid for those materials yet, but we'll get one here eventually.
Okay. We can probably take off the well 10 line, can't we?
Well 10 is clean, there was also another issue there, getting a good sample back. We went like 2 weeks fighting to get a good sample, it's just, I don't know what it was, but we flushed, put some new heads on there, new little tap out of the main, it's online now, but we weren't gonna pay for it, so we haven't paid for that yet either.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna send us a new invoice, the last invoice was from like November 29th or something.
Okay. Alright. Jack would like the committee consider purchasing a different vehicle for the water department. I mean, do we
Those
have
are both
any,
sold, you know.
okay, yeah. That's all we got on the, agenda. Mark, what do you?
The
what do
only,
you got for us?
the subdivision project that I have been talking about for a little while, so I had, we were authorized to prepare an estimate and, kind of a preliminary subdivision plat, and I haven't changed the drawing from when it was discussed. I did hand out, a little map, and I wanna make sure, it's clear that we did talk about, not making the lots, narrowing up the lots a little bit, making it a little deeper, such that we can move the drainage pond to the east a little bit, but that way we would get ironed out during design. I mean, this is a good preliminary map, and, I don't, there's other options that we've talked about, and I can kind of summarize those, but, so I would like, I'll just go over it a little bit. So, the earthwork is, just kind of site clearing, stripping the topsoil, doing what's necessary. I wanna mention that on the bottom of the second page, I kind of list some alternate items of where there could be a reduction in cost. So when I put this together, this is, I'd say, the worst case. This is what, if we had to go bid it out, we weren't doing anything else in Assumption, the world was blank, and, we had to construct this. So I think that there would be, some cost savings from the sewer project that could help, and, I just arbitrarily listed $20,000. The sewer project is gonna be looking for locations to, haul materials. They do have an allowance to do some of that work, so there could be a little bit of offsetting, so that's why I say there's $20,000 that could be out of that, excavation, taken off of there. And then the street is pretty straightforward. I know we talked about an 8-inch, or just an oil and chip, surface, so you'd of course have to have a base course below that. The alley, we listed it would be just an aggregate, so it listed alley there. That's one item also that could be, deducted off. These are just options, the city doesn't have to, do, you don't have to have a paved or rock alley. Yes, it might be, good for utilities. There are no utilities planned as of right now in the alley, so I don't see any real need. Historically, in Assumption, all the alleys have, rock fill, so that's why we put it that way. some of them are even having oil chip, also we've discussed, so then the, sanitary sewer, I guess sanitary sewer and water, those are, two things that, Jack has mentioned that he might be able, not the sanitary sewer, but the force main, he might be able to help assist with some of those, just to help offset some of the cost. That's a big chunk of, so that's $288,000 that possibly the city could help, fund to, install this, water main and force main. And I will say historically in other projects that have been done similar to this, like Dollar General as an example, that was installed by, city forces, for the most part, with assistance from a contractor on the outside. So that's the kind of the concept for the sanitary. Then also for drainage. So we talked about storm sewers. Running down where we could pick up the storm water, and you kind of can see kind of preliminary where you have manholes around the storm inlets. Kind of the idea is, well, maybe we could just put V gutters and have really shallow ditches, maybe a couple culverts, and that would save potentially a little bit. Estimated roughly $60,000. So like, I just wanted to describe, make sure you're aware that there are options. Our project, our contract was to put together an estimate, and this is, I would say, the worst case. That's what we've come up with, but of course there are then some other alternates that can reduce the costs. Another item might be the gas and electric, and then the telephone. We've listed those, but as you may be aware, whenever you put a utility in, then the utility will reimburse that as it's utilized, and telephone is a good cable internet, fiber optic. Typically those are put in at no cost right now, so just list those out there. That could be, and then the engineering permitting. I did add a little bit to the TIF because I did talk with Moran's even this morning. So I do want to make sure everybody's aware that they believe, and that's really the next step is, having them do a review of what to make it eligible. If they do not believe that you can just add this plot of land, you can't just annex it or amend the TIF to add it. You're either going to have to look at adding something else, or making a whole new TIF. Regardless of what you do, you won't be able to just add this section of land, and I don't think that's a big deal. They need to evaluate what else maybe should be added to the TIF, to make it feasible for the city of Assumption. Whenever a TIF is developed, I did hand out that.
Here it is.
And so, as you can imagine, the large industrial is, kind of an area where you think that you might have some growth, and that's why you include those areas. Typically, residential areas are not included, but in this case, it would be a subdivision, new homes would be built. So that's why you would get that tax increment financing where you would gain those funds. But just as I described, you try to make the TIF where it's adjoining one integral, if you follow all the outlining, there are some houses in there that may not, you're not gaining anything from. So that's where they would look at amending the TIF to remove those out, because there's no real reason to have those. But either it would either be amended, or it would have to be a completely new TIF, so you'd have a second TIF. But yeah, they mentioned it would be possibly less than $30,000, so I put 35.
Yeah, and then also if the second part is approved, it's maybe about $6,700. That is deducted from this amount.
Yes. Yeah.
That 35,000.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But I did add a little bit. Just I added 35. They said less than $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. That's kind of sums it up. I think it is a good project. I think there, is potential, for it to be beneficial to the city. The big thing is there's a lot of, what ifs, that the city needs to make some decisions on how things are moving forward, being in regards to a lot of the alternates that I've listed out there. Because that's roughly $500,000. That would reduce the cost. And then I think everybody has seen, Grow Assumption has provided their kind of analysis, and, their numbers that they used were actually higher than, what, even with the, so if you take off the alternates, they used a higher number, so, I just wanna make sure you're aware of that, so, this is my kind of final evaluation of what I could see it being, so. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if you guys have anything to add. I mean, I know Grow Assumption is here, so I think it's important to get this moving. Now that we're in a new year, definitely as it moves forward, you want to have the TIF supporting it, and that's that's how you're going to get your revenue back. So we're at the new year, and you want to get it before the year gets going too far. So.
Just to be clear, we can amend the TIF, but not just for that farmland and not just for that subdivision plot.
Yeah, so
we have to amend other areas.
Yeah, so of course the TIF consultant would be able to answer it more, and that's part of their evaluation is they would need to look at it to make sure. But their opinion is that they cannot just amend it with just that parcel.
He said the same thing to me, and that's also, you guys got a handout at the last council meeting that did show other areas that we could amend to include.
I don't really think that's anything, that is, the TIF has been, I think in 2017 was when it was started.
Yes.
And now you'll be able to see where you've gotten revenue, coming from the TIF, and now's the time you can make either adjustments to it or create another one.
If you did create another one, we can still, so long as they touch, which they would, we can still use all of the money that's generated from this subdivision to be used within the previous TIF, too. So that is something that can be done.
So what do you think is the best way to go?
In my opinion, the numbers work with the existing TIF. You do get another, 23 years out of a new TIF if you was to create it. The other, the clock is ticking because it's got to be done by, it ends in 2040, so we're already in 23 now. So.
In my opinion,
that's
where you hire
yeah.
the TIF consultant to, get them, the next step involved, and they'll tell you what they would recommend. That's my understanding of talking with Jared.
He said the exact same thing, and he's going to be talking in finance.
Well, thank you for all the work you done on that.
Yep.
Jack, I was approached by Joyce Cook about the ditch that was filled in over on the south side of her driveway. Janet said that she gave you all the information. I guess Joyce called up here.
It's been a while.
Joyce was told that the city would be the ones.
That's what the contractors told her, but that culvert, we dug it out with a spade. You can see it's completely buried, It would be.
But why did they bury it?
It was already buried before that.
She said that there was water flowing before they
They
done
might
the
have,
work.
maybe an inch or two, but they came out there and hand dug the one side and exposed it. But the other side of their driveway, they were never even over there. So the side that they excavated, the part of the ditch that they excavated, they hand dug over there with spades and exposed it where they were. But the other side they never touched, and that's the side she wants cleaned out, is on the opposite side of her driveway. And the city doesn't need to do ditching all over town. I get that, but what Burdick did has nothing to do with why her culvert's plugged. In fact, I would say they did more than what they affected.
Well, I know I was also told that when all this took place, her and her husband had left. He had a doctor's appointment. And that there was a pile of dirt up by his wheelchair ramp and some sort of tool thrown on the wheelchair ramp when they got back. This kind of stuff can't happen.
Okay.
That man was dying of cancer. He has, of course passed away since then. But that's just not acceptable.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first time hearing anything of it. It was, we put it in 6 months ago. So.
Well, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know she had called up here either.
Yeah, I know I've heard about the culvert thing. you know, we can dig out the other side of her ditch, it's not really gonna go anywhere, the whole ditch is filled in all the way down there. You know, I don't think anything that the city or Verdict did caused her ditch to fill in over time, but,
She had mentioned that when we had some of the rain, that on the south side of her driveway, it is now flooding. Since the work was done.
I'll take a look at it and see if I can, you know, open that ditch up anymore. But, yeah, that'll be it. But I'll take a look at it, I didn't know anything about anybody leaving tools on her porch or whatever.
I just heard about it this past weekend.
Okay.
I assume it was when the work was done on Lava
Yeah,
Show.
yeah, I would imagine we've replaced all their water services and stuff, so, I would imagine.
Anything else, Susie?
Not a deal.
What's the last thing here on the agenda? Are we getting a new truck, or are we still looking for a new truck, or?
Well-
Those two are sold.
Yeah, we were,
Right.
Gary and I and Jack, we were possibly thinking of one from Thomas, but he had since sold them, so. we're
So
looking
is somebody
at
actively looking?
them.
Or-
Well, we'll probably start next fiscal year, maybe looking at doing something. Probably not until that, not right now,
Okay.
but maybe after May. We do need to talk about Heather Jones, and you wanna discuss anything about that, possibly the
Oh,
water lines?
Yeah.
So
So when we,
that-
I don't know if you guys, many of you remember, but when we were doing that lead service project, the original one, we were putting, we started in this alley back here, next to Jeremy Harris, I think. Between Jeremy Harris and Greg Butcher's building, there's an alleyway that runs, that it turns out the city didn't have an easement through there. So when we were removing lead services over there, we found there's a 2-inch main that ran through that alley that was fed by multiple lead goosenecks. So by state law, we had to, remove those lead goosenecks. Well, what we ended up doing is we put that first service line into Greg Butcher's house, or Greg Butcher's shop, and that's when we found out we didn't actually own that alley. We didn't have an easement through there. We do have an easement that's about 4 feet off the building, but it already contains gas and electric service and some cable. So we didn't end up hooking those 2 abandoned buildings, or 3 abandoned buildings back up. We hooked up, there was an apartment building that like Mike DeClerc owned, and he had someone renting there. We hooked their water back up because it was the closest to the alley. But now that we need to service water to these 3 buildings that this Heather Jones has bought, we don't really have a very good cheap area to put them in. I don't think it's really feasible to try to buy an easement through there. Once we, there's a main that runs out front, but it's going to be asphalt work, concrete work, some plumbing down in the basements. Since there was water service there, at some point someone paid to have water service there, whether it was 70 years ago or 20 years ago, I don't know. But I would, my opinion would be that the city would be liable to reestablish a water connection to those properties. But there's a couple options I guess we have on it. It's excavating out front, on the road, digging the road up, replacing some concrete and curb, and then hiring a licensed plumber to come in and route the water from out front when it was originally coming in out back. And that's, we gotta decide how many properties there actually are there. From what I've heard is all those basements are connected underneath them. So it'll definitely be a little bit of a job, but the other option is trying to come in the back and getting an easement through that alley. But I think Jeremy Harris is the owner of the alley. He keeps basically keeps it blocked now. So
Yeah.
so the water main that was there before really it wasn't, we didn't have an easement, or if we had an easement for it, it had lapsed, or I don't know what.
Probably the best option would be in the front. I mean,
I would
we can kill
imagine.
2 birds with 1 stone. We can also, fix those sidewalks too. That's needed. I had spoke to the lady, and
And this, where's this at again?
right down here in front of these old buildings where Damasco used to be. It used to be Damasco, and Gray House Goods was there a couple years ago. It's
Oh,
right
okay.
down in there.
Oh,
Now the lady had told me she bought 2 of the 3 buildings. And she told me 3 different things that was going to go in there. So I don't know what she's going to do. But yeah, we do ultimately
okay.
have to probably think about putting water in there. Maybe to help alleviate some of the costs. I know, Darren has talked about doing some sidewalks. We have some of the ARPA money for sidewalks. We could maybe even try to look at doing some TIF to help alleviate that. It is in the TIF district, so just some things we need to think about. And I'm gonna try to have something for council to go with.
So, are you guys in agreement that the city, is
Go through the front.
liable to give her, or to provide water at our cost, materials and tapping fees?
I feel we should. I agree.
I
with
kind of
Matt when we
assumed that
talked.
no one was
Yeah.
gonna ever,
I guess.
one of those buildings, that would fall
yeah.
over, but here we are,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Does this affect any of the buildings across the alley? At the
No.
end?
No. Now, one thing I can say is that, all of those services are directly under the influence of lead, or were at some point, so.
Will they be
We do have some
changed?
lead service funding coming in. I don't know if she's willing to wait that long. I think she,
When I
sounded
talked
like
to her, I mean,
she
she
wanted water pretty
She
quickly.
wanted the
but-
water yesterday. I mean, even though I told her about the situation, I mean, she understood, but it just, we're just gonna take some time,
Right.
for it. And I know she's done some work, but that's really about it. I mean, it is nice. She says she's gonna bring in another business. What, I don't know. Like I said, she told me 3 different things, so. Just wants to see which one's a good fit, because she doesn't own the middle building. It's just it, so. She bought the 2 around her. 2 on each side, I should say. 1 on each side, so. But yeah,
Is there gonna be anyone live there?
no, not that she said.
'Cause there was an apartment in the back.
I think she's gonna live there, and
Is she?
or like where Damasco's was, and then where that dance shop was, or whatever. She said something about a cafe or a grocery store.
She rattled all that stuff off. Okay. She didn't say anything about living.
There used to be an apartment on the back side.
Yeah. I don't know if I said we'll work on trying to get it done. So we'll. I mean, I agree with
How
you.
long
Get her
of a job
water.
is this?
I mean, hire a company like Petersburg or Burdick or something. It'd be maybe a couple days, and then have somebody come in and do the concrete a couple days.
Getting saddles is gonna be the hardest part.
Yeah, finding the material is gonna be
Materials,
tough. Anything made
yeah.
out of brass.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Angel, you have anything to add? Mayor?
No, I was just it with Heather.
Okay.
We talked about everything else.
You guys have anything you wanna add, or?
Did you say Keith and or Jake would be at the next finance meeting?
So when I had spoke to him, it would be a call-in.
Okay.
So he mentioned that he would call to.
And that's at the next finance
That's the
meeting?
finance
And what
meeting.
date is that?
It'd be Monday.
Monday, okay.
Okay, well, nothing else. Call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.